if I've not broke it. That's all working and we're live. We're going to be doing a midweek mayhem, which is good. We've actually won a game. A second game in a row and we've kept 2 clean sheets, so that's nice. So I've got John Neville, I've got my own Nev this week, and Mr. Commode, all the way from America, which is brilliant. Are you enjoying it over there, John?
I sure am, mate. Yeah, it's good to be back contributing. Again, been a busy few weeks, as you can imagine. But yeah, enjoying the sunshine, which unfortunately my friends in Manchester in the UK aren't getting much of at the moment.
It's definitely not sunny. How about John? Did you go to the game yesterday?
I did, yes. I was at the game last night. Yes,
brilliant. Because I'm hoping you're going to have a little bit of different perspective to us too. Have you been watching it, John? Have you been getting up at daft o'clock in the morning? Was it not a bad kickoff time?
To be honest, the kickoff times haven't been too bad actually.
You've been lucky so far.
Yeah, so we've had a few Saturday 3 p.m.s, which is 10 o'clock in the morning our time, so at least it allows me to have a bit of a lie-in. And obviously games like yesterday in the Bayern Munich game were at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's not been too bad, but it did throw me off having a Saturday 3 p.m. America time at Burnley and that. So, but yeah, it's not been too bad at the moment.
So them 8 p.m. kickoffs are quite good for you then?
Yeah, well, I kind of get used to us watching us in the morning usually. Yeah, so Saturday 3 p.m. feels a bit obscure because my wife's a teacher and usually look to do things Saturday afternoon. So I was a bit like, well, it's middle of the afternoon, which was a bit of a pain to be honest. But no, I haven't had to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But I won't have to anyway because midday is about 7 o'clock in the morning here, so it's not.
I know a couple of Australians and they have to get up at like.
Yeah, well, if I lived in like Los Angeles, then I'll have to be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning in that case. So
I can never understand the time differences over there because it's such a big country. It's really weird, isn't it? There's quite a few different time zones. Right, we'll get onto the game. So we'll start with you, Nev. I'm going to call you Nev because then I won't get confused.
Sure.
We'll start with you, mate. Obviously, big win. I'll be honest. I sat here on Saturday with Barry and I said I'd snatch around off a 1-0. I don't see how we go out and win this game 3-0 and it's comfortable. It wouldn't make sense for it to just happen. So look a bit foolish, but it is what it is. So what did you make of the game overall? Obviously happy, hopefully.
Yes, like you say, it was an unusually pleasant experience to have such a nice, comfortable, troublesome free win for a change, which was nice. But no, everything just seemed to go according to plan. Even despite the fact that there was 7 changes from the Burnley game, the team seemed to click into gear pretty quickly, and obviously we scored 2 fairly quick goals, or not 2. We weren't waiting for that breakthrough goal for too long, so that obviously probably gave him a bit of confidence and took the pressure off. So after that it was pretty much plain sailing really, and nice for a few youngsters and fringe players to get some minutes as well.
Yeah, I was particularly happy because I've banged this drum for months and months and months and months, which is good. I'm glad we do this channel because I can prove that I've been saying these things. Of him, Ten Hag trusting the players a little bit more and making a few more rotations. I was watching some lads talk about football the other day, and I was saying, like, there is no chance this man rests Fernandes. Fernandes don't ever rest. And then when I saw the team sheet, I was like, what is going off here? Like, Fernandes has been left out or rested. I couldn't believe it. And then when I saw some of the names as well on the team sheet, I was quite, I would say, happy that he's sort of gone. Because I still maintain that pre-season, some of these lads did a really good job. They looked like they could follow his brand of football, style of football, and they've not really had the chance together unless there's been injuries, and then the odd ones got a chance. So, what about you, John? What did you make of the game itself?
Yeah, it was for once a game where you can relax and enjoy it, wasn't it? It was. 'Cause it has been a bit of a pain watching it play at times, having heart palpitations and all that. So it was nice to have a game where we played well, we dominated. I did. I'm not usually one to look at possession, but I did read weren't we close to like 800 passes in the game or something? And so we did, I think it was about 770 odd or something. So, but it was pleasing to see us get a comfortable win and play well for 90 minutes. I also, like you mentioned, giving Bruno and Rashford a rest. And it's interesting because, so it's with Rashford, he hasn't performed as well this season compared to last season. And maybe Bruno hasn't quite been at his best, although perhaps other players have been identified more specifically. And yeah, it was our best performance for a while. And maybe them sitting on the bench will look at that and think we better raise our game because it means that potentially every player's droppable, even the two players who you'd expect to play every time, Fernandez and Rashford. But I do think it was a good game to watch. I thought Amrabat on his debut
Left back.
Left back and then midfield
Madness.
and then right back and then so it will be good to I think it was pleasing to see that the midfield looked like had a bit more balance last night, which is something we've been crying out for. So it will be good to see Amrabat in his actual main position eventually when we get a few players are injured back. Might be a while yet, but he put himself about well. Obviously, Casemiro was man of the match in my opinion, but also the front three, Martial, Garnacho, and Pedestri, and even Mason Mount had a good game. So there weren't any bad performances. I think every player was a 7 out of 10 at least. So that was pleasing to see. And yeah, but obviously we march on to the next round.
It's nice to be able to talk positive, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about a few people's performances and a few incidents in the game. I'm going to start with Maguire because at 0-0, Maguire makes a really good interception. The ball's going across the box. If you don't make the interception, I think that's probably going to be 1-0 to them. And then the thing I wanted to talk about is you've mentioned it there yourself. The midfield seemed to be a lot more composed and comfortable in what they was doing. And I personally think that's what's helped the defense. So, like, I've seen a lot of stuff going around saying, the defense was very settled. But I think it was because the midfield was so settled as well. So it helped them both. So, Nev, what did you make of Maguire coming into the squad and Amrabat playing left back, which is just mad to me? When he came on at Burnley at left back, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was sort of in disbelief, like, what are we playing at here, putting him on at left back? It's just mad. So what did you make of Maguire's performance, and how well did you think Amrabat did?
I think Maguire had a solid game. I don't think he was particularly troubled a great lot.
It was sort of effortless from them, wasn't it? The back. Yeah,
Palace didn't really offer very much at all, certainly as an attacking threat. But what bits he had to do, he did fine, and like I say, made that sort of a crucial interception early on. So now he was, now he looked good. He looked comfortable. He looked confident. But in terms of Amrabat, yeah, he looked very composed. Didn't look sort of phased by being in an unnatural position. I know he sort of said in his interview afterwards, I heard him say that I'm happy to wherever the manager wants me, I'll go there, sort of thing. But yeah, he did very well. He was in sort of, like you say, several positions last night. But yeah, he looks a really useful player, I think.
So, John, do you think that, going back to Maguire and Amrabat, obviously one playing out of position, do you think Maguire being at that left centre-back position is better for him than the right centre-back position? I think he looked so much more comfortable when scanning and passing. It kept his passing simple. He was only hitting the diagonal ball if it was on. He was sort of working with Amrabat and Casemiro to dictate the play from the back, and Varane was excellent as well.
Yeah, I do think that, and I think the other fact you have to bear in mind also was that Amrabat was playing left back, but he was also coming into midfield, and then at times it looked like we had a back three. Now, obviously, we remember England at the World Cup in 2018 when Southgate played five at the back, and Harry Maguire was on the left hand side of the, there were three centre-halves, he'd be left down one. So I think he's definitely more suited to that role. And I think perhaps when Amrabat did drop into midfield, he had the extra width, between the defenders, and that perhaps allowed Maguire to play more in his natural position. I've never quite understood why I think he's only really been on the 10 where he has played in the right centre-back position, because even in the bad season he had under his last season, Rangnick, he was in that position. He wasn't the only player who played badly that season, but for me, he's never quite been comfortable in the right-hand position, whereas the left-hand position as centre-half, he's much more comfortable there. And I think there was a fluidity about the team. There were, as we mentioned, Amrabat was changing position, but it was like all the players were interchanging and changing positions. And you look at the way Palace approached the game, it was like either they let it happen or they just couldn't make sense of the constant change. Like we played 4 at the back, then it'll be 2 at the back, then 3 at the back. There was just a general fluidity about the way we played. And I think it also helped having Casemiro in there as well, dictating the play. And obviously, people like Stu have mentioned, you'll see by Harry Maguire when Casemiro's in the side. And obviously, I think Casemiro is more, with his goal threat now, which we perhaps weren't expecting when we signed him. He's perhaps more box to box, whereas Amrabat looks more of a, I'll tidy up at the back, protect the defence. I think his pass accuracy is around 90%, and now it was around 96% last, which is what he does. So I think having that fluidity when he eventually starts playing his natural position, I think we will build on it, and having Amrabat and Casemiro in there will allow players like Varane, like Maguire, Lindelof, they'll have that extra protection. Hopefully we'll be more solid and hopefully start winning a few more games.
Yeah, we've definitely, when we signed him, I didn't want to say Scholes, but we very much needed that Michael Carrick sort of player that was unselfish, would mop up, play a 5-yard pass, get back into position, be ready to mop up again.
I think I've heard something either last season or the last 2 seasons at Fiorentina. I think Amrabat has only scored 1 goal and got 1 assist, and I think I don't mind that.
No, you need the player that's going to play the ball before the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you haven't got that, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Carrick probably only was with us a decade or something. He only scored about 20 goals or something.
Yeah.
So, and he probably didn't get that many assists either.
I think he went through a period where he got 2 goals and an assist in 3 games in a row, and I was like, what has gone off here? I can remember one against Roma in the 7-1.
He got 2 in that game.
Yeah, he smashed it in from the edge of the box.
Even Gary Neville got 2 goals in a week once.
I just remember being like, what's going off here? So we'll talk about the first goal. You'll have to tell me, Nev, because you was in the stadium. I was watching on the telly. I was super impressed with the play in general, but Martial's movement in the middle, he makes a sprint towards the goal line as Dalot gets to the byline, and it just leaves a big empty space at the penalty box where obviously Garnacho arrives in. What did you make of the goal from in the stadium?
I thought it was very good build-up play. There was some good passion. I think it was Garnacho originally, I think, who spread the ball out to the right-hand side, and then obviously it was good to see him, running in, getting into the box, getting into the 6-yard box. To be there for the goal in the end. But like you say, there was some good link-up play, good ball across goal, and like you say, good bit of movement from Martial just to sort of take the draw the defenders towards him as well. So yeah, very, very well worked goal, I think.
Thought it was really like selfless to play. It sounds weird, but it was really selfless. So it didn't feel like any one player was out for themselves. It was more of a team performance. So Martial didn't get any credit for some of the runs he was making yesterday, but he was making some excellent runs, which was giving space to Garnacho, giving space to Pellistri. Obviously, the goal scoring machine that is Casemiro that's happening this season. The corner jinx is finally over. You have no idea how much I wanted Johnny Evans to score that header as well, because he had another chance yesterday. I would have loved a Maguire header as well. So with the performance being what it was, who would you? Obviously, I would say Casemiro was man of the match. Would we agree?
Yeah.
Who do you think has put themselves in a position where, if anybody, they could be saying, I should be starting on Saturday?
I think most. Oh, go on.
There's one or two, I think. I think probably Garnacho staked to claim to get back in the starting lineup. Probably Amrabat as well with his performance. He'll probably end up coming in maybe to cover it left back again, or maybe something like that.
We should have Reguilon back for Saturday.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. This is the thing. So I've got here. We made 7 changes for this game last night, and the change was Martial, Garnacho, Pellistri, Mount, Amrabat, Varane, and Maguire all came in. So just like I've been thinking myself all day, like, because the performance was excellent. I don't think Palace will offer the same at the weekend as they offered yesterday, because I think they made quite a few changes as well. I've just been thinking in my head, like, I thought Mount played well enough to play Saturday. Amrabat played well enough to play Saturday. So did Garnacho. You could argue Varane and Maguire both played well enough to keep the play. Lindelof played well when he came. Did he come on at half time?
Yeah.
So do you think any of these 7 should get a start on Saturday?
Go on, John.
Well, I think it's inevitable Fernandes and Rashford will
come back in.
They start on Saturday, possibly Højlund as well. But if he put out that 11 again on Saturday, I don't think we'd complain too much, after the way they played. So for me, I think definitely Amrabat will be in the team. I personally think, obviously, Casemiro, Dalot, I would think Varane will probably start. Onana, obviously. I mean, you touched on Martial, but I think Stu made the point the other week. Maybe just Højlund needs to learn a little bit, and the way Martial played, we looked a better thing. Like it was almost like he was the link where he brought like Garnacho and Pellistri into having that focal point. And obviously, we have the risk of injury, and he does this to us every time, Martial. But he is one that he when he is on form, he does bring up the team together, kind of thing. So for me, you could possibly consider having Martial. But from Højlund is obviously a young player, and he's got pace and all that. But I think you saw a bit. I think perhaps his footballing intelligence needs to develop a little bit, because I think the main weakness for him on Saturday was that he wasn't always interlinking with the players and all that kind of thing. But it will come in time. But it wouldn't surprise me if Martial was to start on Saturday. Obviously, we don't know where Bruno will play. He might play on the right wing. Pellistri.
No,
Yeah, I know. Although he scored a great goal from the right.
Yeah, it's
but I do think that, I think Amrabat definitely, if Reguilon is fit, that'll be good. I would expect Varane. Do we know what's happening with Martinez at the moment? So
I genuinely think that this new doctor's come in and he's looked at what's going off with Martinez, and he's probably said, like, what are you playing at? This lad needs a rest, because it's apparently from his injury last season, and he's been subbed twice with the same issue. So I'm wondering whether they've just sort of took him out the spotlight to let him recover properly. I've not seen that he's fit for the weekend or whether he's even going to be fit. So it'd be an interesting one. But I think Ten Hag's been quite good with everybody else except Martinez with letting them come back from injury properly. He has seemed to rush Martinez back a little bit more.
I think
nice to have the options, though, isn't it?
I think the other factor that I don't think McTominay and Eriksen were in the squad, were they?
Fully rested. Yeah. I didn't pick up on that.
No, they weren't even on the bench. So whether that's because they have a slight injury or
actually, I did pick up on that because I thought I was quite surprised, and we'll talk about this gentleman. I was quite surprised that Donny was on the bench.
No, it's interesting because Eriksen, was he on the bench at Burnley? I can't remember.
He was. So was Donny.
So I don't think he came on, so he hasn't played in 2 games, Eriksen.
And he looked a bit. I don't think he looked great against Brighton either. Maybe there is something to that. So obviously, I'm going to talk about the possible issues with the 7 that may or may not start a bit later on, because it's a point I want to touch on in terms of their mentality. They've played really well. Could it hurt their mentality later on? But we'll talk about the game a little bit more first. Obviously, there's an incident in the game, and I want to know whether you two saw it, because I'd never even seen it. And it's just before we score from the corner. Did you notice, like in the ground in particular, Nev, did you notice that it was an absolute stonewall foul on Pellistri?
Yeah.
What was that?
Just leading up to the corner, Pellistri's tackled. And I sat there watching it and went, what a challenge that was. It looked like really good. And then I've seen the replay, and it's an absolute stonewall penalty.
Oh really? No, I know what you mean now, but no, I thought it was a clean tackle, but I'm not honest. I don't think I've seen a close-up replay of it.
It's hard to explain. Like kicks him clean in the leg, and then kicks the ball away after he's tripped him up. But it looked. Did you notice, John? Did you notice it?
I didn't notice it at first, but then eventually, when I looked back at it, I thought, God, that is it. I think because I thought it was a great chance for Pellistri, and you thought
I was asking myself why he's not got it away.
So I wasn't actually thinking penalty. And then obviously they'd show the quick replay. Then it was gone and we scored from it, so we didn't really have time to think about it. But then later on, when you look back at it, I mean, we've had some bad VAR moments in recent games, and it's ironic that VAR wasn't used for this game.
I saw it afterwards, and I was just thinking, it's another one. If he wouldn't have scored from the corner straight away, it's another decision that we would be looking at, thinking, how have they not got that right? And I get it, because VAR wasn't there, and even I thought at first, oh, what a challenge that was. I literally said, oh, what a challenge that is. And it's not until I saw it back, I was like,
I was a bit annoyed with Pellistri, because I think he did that a couple of times, yes, where he almost feels afraid to shoot at times. Just put your boot through it, kind of.
Probably, he's going to get
I was a bit annoyed with it, because it was a fantastic move as well. You forget of what such a good move that was, and I just don't understand why he didn't just bury it. But yeah, it was definitely a penalty, and somehow it was missed.
I thought that was good yesterday, because the patterns of play seemed to be there for stuff like that happening. They seem to be quick around the box as well. So one player I wanted to talk about a little bit more was Hannibal. So second consecutive start. I've got a wonderful stat here somewhere. Let me find it. He covered more ground than any other player on the pitch against Burnley at 12.9 kilometres, and that is more than any United player this season and more than any United player since Ten Hag came to the club, which I think is quite telling of what kind of player he is. So I could see what Stu was saying at the weekend. He didn't have a great game, and neither did McTominay, and none of them did. But I sort of looked at it in a different way. I thought they all defended for each other really well. They all covered some serious distance. It was a little bit more, we need to get in and out with 3 points by hook or crook sort of job. And I think it's quite damning on some of the other players that Hannibal's coming in, covering these distances, making ground up where they're probably not making ground up. Do we think that he deserves a start a third consecutive start. Do we think he's played well enough, Nev?
I think he's done pretty well. Yeah, I've got a feeling that he probably won't start on Saturday.
I think too many of the big hitters might be back.
I think, yeah, they might perhaps lose his place to Fernandez or somebody like that. But he didn't do anything. He didn't play poorly by any stretch last night. He, like I say, he's covering a lot of ground. He's very energetic. Obviously, he scored that goal against Brighton the other week. So, yeah, he looks like he could be a useful player for us this season. I do hope he gets some more chances through the season. He might well might come on as a sub perhaps on Saturday if things are going well.
I wanted to ask you a question in particular because you was in the stadium. Did you ever get because John might back me up on this. The commentator was very much leaning that he's close to another. I never thought he was myself. I thought it was just them being a bit pedantic. Did you ever start to feel in the stadium that maybe he was one more tackle away from a second yellow?
I'm not sure really because he got booked quite early on for pretty well. From what I saw, when I saw it live, I didn't think it was much of a bad foul, particularly. I didn't think. So yeah, I guess I probably forgot about that a bit in the second half. I guess he was probably walking a tightrope a little bit there. So I guess that's why he got to. When did he get subbed off? Was it about 60 minutes?
71
minutes. Yeah. So yeah, he's probably got a bit of a fire in him.
It was funny because literally every time he made a tackle, commentator, he's going to get. None of them was worth a second yellow. They was all niggly fouls, if that makes sense. You could argue maybe accumulation was.
I think there was one where he, because I think him and Sherlock were having a bit of a battle, and they were both on yellow. And it was an interesting battle. I thought it wouldn't surprise me if one of them got red carded because I think that's credit to him because he did have a bit of he has a reputation for having a bit of a fiery head, does he, and all that. So he's possibly one of them where he is at risk of a red card when he's on a yellow. However, there has been improvement. Like at Burnley, he didn't get booked, and yesterday he got booked after 12 minutes. But I think I didn't really see any challenge. I didn't really see any challenges that you're like, we might get a yellow. But then I think the commentator said on about 6-5 minutes, he's like, Hannibal's got to be careful. He's committed 5 fouls since his yellow card. And you're just like, you can't keep persistently doing.
Yeah, the commentator I was watching, he said, I think I thought it was a bit more close to the 20. So he got booked on 12. And I think by the 26th minute, he was like, that was Hannibal that made that tackle. He's lucky. He needs to be careful. And it's like, it was one tackle. It wasn't really that bad of a tackle. It was just to come
I think there was just one tackle just before he came off where...
was that when he was breaking?
When Will Hughes, it was around the centre circle. And he made like a bit of a lunging tackle. And that was the moment where I thought, oh, no. That's like, if he's not careful, it's a good job he didn't collide with him because that would have certainly been a second yellow. And then I think about 2 minutes later, he came off anyway. So, yeah, there was just one tackle away made where it was a bit like... maybe best to bring him off just to be on the safe side. But no, I thought he played well and he's very energetic. And I think someone said that then he do like 100 presses in a game, which is more than any player in the Premier League or something this season. I read. I don't know.
He honestly, his running stats in particular, because I've had a little look. When I saw I think I was watching Sky and I saw it on Sky, the 12.9 kilometers. His running stats are really good. Like some people will argue that he's technically not been fantastic since he come in, but this is my issue, and I think this is where the club's got lost a little bit. We've got so many technical players and supposed superstars that you're missing that Amrabat, Hannibal, the ones that are going to cover the hard ground but not want to shoot from 25 yards, run into the box and score it. Do you know what I mean? They're just going to do the hard yards, give it to Casemiro, give it to Pellistri, give it to Garnacho, and let them go and work the magic. And we was going to sign John McGinn, I think it was, and everybody laughed it off. And that's the sort of player that we're missing in this team. The one that knows the tactics, that's going to do the hard ground and really cover some distance. So going back to you, Nev, because it was a great moment on the pitch in terms of the debut for, I don't know if it's his debut or not, actually. I think he's come on before, but Dangor coming on his birthday. That must have been a good moment for the crowd.
Yeah, it was a very nice moment. That was. You could see the crowd were egging for him to come on, sort of thing, while he was warming up. Well, him and Johnny Evans as well. He was getting a lot of good reception as well. But yeah, Dango, I think it was really good to see him come on, and I thought he played well when he came on. He was composed. He was passing well, moving the ball around well, and it was a nice moment. We've not had we don't seem to have had many of these academy players that have sort of been able to come on and make a bit of an impression this last year or so. I don't think so. It was nice little cameo from him.
It's been the same players. It's been Garnacho. I know Kobe Mayu had more time in pre-season than he has in the games. But I've been quite critical of Ten Hag for this. But I really do love what he said after the game, which was, you have to earn the start. You don't just get given the start, whether it's your birthday, whether it's free. And I agree with it to a point. But if these boys are good enough to be on the bench, they should be good enough to come on. I was quite critical of him in the loss to Arsenal because we had Gore, we had Hannibal. Rashford was out on his feet and he just didn't want to make the sub. And this is where I think, I know it's sort of a lot of doom and gloom with Man United, and a lot of the fans are very, Maguire's rubbish, Martial's always injured and stuff like that. And honestly, I'll hold my hands up. Sometimes I'll just lose my shit if we go 1-0 down or 2-0 down or whatever. But there's got to be a realization that if we can just gel some of these lads together and get them back into the fold, we could still go on to have a really good season. Like, you look at the team yesterday with 7 changes, it's one of the best performances of the season. So if you can gel some of the first teamers in with that as well and keep these lads, like, I'm a massive fan of Maguire, obviously, but I'm not saying he should start for Man United. What I'm saying is he's more than good enough that when we need him to come on, I think there's a stat somewhere that he came on 15 times. He made 15 starts last season and we won all 15 games, 8 clean sheets. If he can do that for us this season again, it's perfect if we can keep Varane, Martinez and Co fit. So I'm fingers crossed that we can sort of gel some of these lads back in. And Martial's going to do it to us again, isn't he? So we will move on to his finish. Absolutely fantastic finish. Great ball. I'll let you describe it, John, but he's going to do it again, isn't he? He's going to score. He's going to look the part, and he's going to pull his hamstring.
I think having the reason Palestri and Garnacho had good games was, I think a lot of it had to do with Martial being up. So if Hoyland had started the game, perhaps you wouldn't have had the same fluidity. And obviously he's a young player and all that, but he still needs to learn the ropes. Whereas Martial, while he's not always on it, and obviously he's injury prone, as we know, but we know when he's on it, he's a very good player, and I think that finish was sublime. And it's one of those goals where you're like, how on earth did he get in there kind of thing, and it was just a fantastic finish. And he finished that as if he's already scored. It's one of those goals where you're like, he's banging in goals at the moment. Like, take that first time on the half following, I were in the opposite corner from a tight angle. And I mean, Sam Johnson must have been like, how did it end up there? It's almost like, it's a bit different, but that Van Basten volley from a few years back, and it's one of them where you're like, how on earth did he fit that in? The thing, but I think it was a fantastic finish from Martial, and I think he deserved his goal last night. And also it was pleasing to see that he smiled throughout the game, which was
somewhat. He smiled when he scored.
So if Martial smiles for 90 minutes, it must be a good game, kind of thing. But and what about by Casemiro as well? It was just like, finish that off kind of thing. So, but I just think, and obviously, hopefully, Martial can go on from here. Not tempt fate, but he has. I think he's been fit for about a month now, touch wood. So so if he manages the minutes and all that, if Martial does somehow try to keep himself fit, and obviously he can't play 2 consecutive games, but if he can play 6 minutes one game, then half an hour the next kind of thing, it might be manageable. But he's certainly a player that when he's on form, he can certainly produce the goods. So I think it was a fantastic finish.
If we can start controlling games and getting 1 or 2-0 up, he's the perfect player to bring on. He's got everything about him. He knows how to press. He can be called lazy, but I've been critical of Rashford because I think Rashford runs the distance, which people don't realise, and he does lots of sprints. But Martial sort of picks the sprints he should be running, whereas Rashford's more a bit like headless chicken. So, what about you, Nev? When he scored, how many people did you hear say he's going to do it again? He's gonna make us hope he's going to do it again.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of consensus, isn't it? I was sort of the same as John. I was sort of like couldn't believe it had gone in really from that position. It was one of them where you thought it was just going to flash across the sort of face of goal and go out for a goal kick. But
where do you sit? Like, where was you sat in terms of in line, behind?
I sort of sit near the halfway line, just about halfway line at the front. So I was kind of sort of almost behind, Martial, where Martial was sort of hitting the shot sort of thing. So sometimes it's a bit tricky when you're down there to sort of see the sort of direction of the where the ball's going and things like that. Sometimes the trajectory, but it was a fantastic finish. But that's sort of been Martial's problem, hasn't it? He just, as soon as you think he's sort of clicking into gear and finding his feet, he ends up with an injury, and then we don't see him for another half a season, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the worry in it. I just hope we don't do it again. He deserves a good 6 months injury free. If he can get like 5 to 10 goals before now at the end of the season, be buzzing for the lad. I want to have a quick conversation about Onana. Not Onana in the sense of his performance. He was excellent yesterday. I thought, is it Bayinyadir? How do you pronounce the other goalkeeper's name, John? Help me out here.
I have no idea.
Do you think that I genuinely thought he would get the run out? Because it looks like we could lose an Onana for, is it 6 to 8 games? So do you think...
Is it the Africa Cup this
year? Cup of Nations, yeah. So he's just come out of retirement. So there's a big chance we could lose him.
Because I did look at this in January. That I think we've only got 2 league games in January, or 3.
I think I've looked, and I think it is 3 league games and 3 cup games that you could miss.
FA Cup will be starting.
It's like 6 weeks, I think, in total that you could miss.
Yeah.
So do you think Ten Hag should really be giving this lad a go now? Or do you think it's sort of, especially in the cup games?
Yeah, I think, I would have considered playing him last night. However, what Ten Hag might have thought is because Onana has obviously had a challenging start.
Shaky start.
Being United goalkeeper, obviously the error of Bayern Munich and all that possibly he might think this is the type of game to get your confidence up, get a clean sheet. He's not kept 2 clean sheets in a row. Okay, didn't he have a couple of good saves and all that? Yeah. But I think he perhaps thought maybe dropping him for this play, the second choice, that maybe now's not the right time. Maybe Onana just needs to have a bit longer as the number 1 just to give him the confidence, get him used to the defence, playing with different defenders, like I mentioned, Maguire, Varane, as I play with Martinez, Lindelof, that kind of thing. So perhaps it's us way of easing him, giving him that confidence, and maybe in the next round, whoever we play, that might be the time he gives the second choice. If hopefully we've kept another 2 or 3 clean sheets, maybe that might be the point he brings him in. I think it'll be interesting because in the Champions League, because we lost by Munich. If if us and Bayern Munich win our next 3 Champions League games, I know it's a lot to do, but if we beat Copenhagen home and away, and we beat Galatasaray at home, and Bayern Munich do the same, I think we can qualify after 4 games, and then Galatasaray is the away leg. Is the 5th game away from home. I think we're signing from Fenerbahce, didn't we? So that might be a game that you might play him possibly because he's used to like the
Is he
Turkish
comfortable with the crowd? Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. So that might be a consideration, maybe. But obviously we're looking quite far in the future. So, but I do think he possibly picks an Arnold just to give him that extra confidence and all that, game used to Old Trafford, and
Yeah, I was saying it.
And obviously, even if you only make a couple of saves, 2 clean sheets in a row after having a difficult start will improve your confidence, won't it? So
Yeah, I'll say it's important that we built on the Burnley result. But again, by hook or by crook, we got away with 3 points. We got a clean sheet. There has to be momentum, even winning 3-0. I'm shocked it was 3-0. I would have took just a 1-0 and build. We just need to slightly build on these performances and sort of push them forward.
I think it's possibly the best thing because we can also look at because like we said before, Fernandes and Rashford didn't get a game, and it's the best we played. It gives the players confidence we can play, and it also makes Fernandes and Rashford think, I need to up my game possibly. So
they've got to bring a performance, haven't they?
That kind of performance might, propel us further than if we just narrowly won like a crappy game 2-0 or something. The fact that we play well will give confidence to the team, and obviously it'll be a different Palace team on Saturday, but we can go into it thinking like, well, we've taken care of you in the League Cup. Hopefully when we bring Bruno and Rashford back up, they'll having had a break last night, they'll probably think, well, I missed out on Tuesday. We need to up our game on Saturday, So yeah, but I think it was encouraging.
What did you make in the ground, Nev? And I'll come to Donny. What did you make of his performance when he came on? Honestly, he looked loads better than he has recently. He looked a little bit more in tune with what he was doing. He tried a couple of little flicks and they came off, and he seemed to be working well with the wingers. And he seemed to, I think there was a point where I can't remember which play it was, but somebody was basically I think it was Casemiro, was telling Donny to push up as far as he could, and he would find him. He would pass the ball to him. What did you make of his overall performance when he came on?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. He seemed to be probably higher up at the pitch than you might expect. I mean, at that time we were pretty much dominating anyway. The last sort of 10-15 minutes, so we were sort of pretty much camped in their final third. But it did seem to be linking up well with the with the other midfielders, like you say, and the wingers. So there's definitely some encouragement there. I mean, I would try to I can't remember when he probably last played in a competitive game for us, because he's obviously been injured and out on loan. So, and looked for all the world like he was probably going to get sold in this transfer window. So, it might be a bit of a sort of nice bonus there that we've got another midfield option. If he's
someone said something to me the other day, and it was absolutely mental. And I was like, surely we can't do that. They were saying, like, can you imagine if Ten Hag, because from all I'm aware, Donny's not been picked for the Champions League squad. Can you imagine if Ten Hag takes out Sancho and puts in Donny? Because I don't know whether it's like, I know you get deadlines and stuff, but that would be mental. That? If he could do that, I think he might to prove his point, if that makes sense. Sancho must have been. I mean, he probably wasn't watching yesterday. Let's be honest, but he must be thinking, like, time's up. Sort of like, is if he don't apologize soon, it's a long road back, isn't it? Just point out that Newcastle have just scored past Man City, but at the same time, Liverpool have now made it 2-1 against Leicester. So that's not too bad. Hopefully, Newcastle beat Man City. That'd be nice. So yeah, but obviously back to the game in terms of just like bring it to the end. I personally was relatively happy with just the control from everybody. It was nice that they was all on the same wavelength. I wanted to sort of finish on asking who we think of them 7 will force their way into the Saturday lineup. So we'll start at Martial and then we'll just go through the names. So do you think Martial did enough to force his way in, or do you think he'll go with Hoyland? Start with John.
I think he did play well, and you can't complain if he did get a start. However, I do think he'll go with Hoyland.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think, Hoyland's, big name signing this summer, big transfer fee and everything. So I think he'll have to come back in.
The thing that made me wonder about this one in particular, because I didn't expect to see Hoyland at all yesterday. It was going well. Martial needed the minutes. I didn't think he'd come on, and then when he brought him on, I thought, is there a little bit of a hint that he's bringing Martial to protect him? I think he'll start with Hoyland, so we'll go for no on Martial because I think he will start with Hoyland. What about Garnacho? So we'll start with you again, John. Do you think he did enough to force his way in?
I think he, again, like Martial, I think he did do enough. He got the goal. However, I think Rashford picks himself, doesn't even when he's off on Eric. I'm sure he'll pick Rashford on the left wing. So no, I don't.
Do you think there's any chance that he'd play on the right?
No.
Yeah. So, yeah. What about you, Nev?
Yeah, I tend to agree again. Yeah, I mean, if it was any other position, you'd say, definitely be starting. But I can't see.
I find it interesting that you said that because we think about what's going off with Sancho, and that is definitely the mentality of Sancho at the minute, isn't it? He's thinking, no matter how well I train, no matter what I do, I'm not going to dislodge Rashford from my favourite left position. And not only am I not going to get past Rashford, probably not going to get started in front of Garnacho. So he's sort of left. So you can sort of see where he's gone about it the complete wrong way, but you can sort of see where his head's at. So what about Pellistri? Do we think Pellistri's done enough?
Well, I think the right wing is the vacant position. So I think based on the team he picked up, Burnley probably won't. I do, unfortunately, Dan. I do think he'll put Bruno on the right. So for me, I think he'll probably play Bruno. But I think with Pellistri, he was. I can see why he's not been picked before, kind of, because while he has had good cameo performance, I think at times maybe his decision making is always best, like he not shooting when he should, basically, and that. I mean, he should have had a goal at Bayern Munich in the first few minutes. So for me, I don't think he's quite. I think he's done well, but not quite enough yet to justify starts on the right on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think he had a bright sort of first 20, 30 minutes, but I think after that he was sort of pretty quiet. So yeah, I can't see Pellistri getting in the 11 on Saturday either.
He's still a little bit raw, isn't he? In terms of like football, he's still a little bit. He's still got a bit to go. He's sort of like Garnacho was at the start of last season. Probably better off coming from the bench, see if he can give us something different. What I will say is he's one of the first wingers in a while that I've seen that's willing to take on his man and dig out across. I don't think we see that enough from Garnacho, Rashford, and even Sancho when he was getting picked. Yeah. Anthony's another one. We didn't see them really get to the byline and try and knock a cross in. They tend to cut inside. So it was nice to see that.
I think the thing with it's interesting, even though they're on opposite wings, because he did give Garnacho a role last season. He didn't necessarily do it with Pellistri. And I think you're right, Pellistri can dig out across and all that. But I think Garnacho is that element of he can make something happen.
Garnacho always makes me think, he's like Ronaldo back in the day.
Yeah,
my bum's always on the edge of my seat when he gets the ball.
Yeah, you always feel, particularly when he comes off the bench, he could get a goal. Whereas Pellistri, while he's siding, he supports his right back a lot. He perhaps he hasn't got quite the thing where it's like he'll get you a goal when you need it, kind of thing. Whereas
Yeah, I
Garnacho
put him in the
does have,
category of
you
a bit
know,
like Martial. If we can bring him on when we're 2-0 up, he'll do a perfect job.
Yeah.
But when it's 0-0 and you really need something to happen, he's not
I
quite
mean,
there yet.
if you're coming on at how old's Garnacho? 18 is you're 19. If you're coming
19.
off the bench
19,
and
I
winning
think.
games at that age, you're a special talent,
Yeah.
and especially at a club like United. Whereas Palestri is a good player. I'd seriously keep him, but I think he's just got to develop that. What to do, like basically make
Decision
basically
making.
kind of decision making.
Yeah.
Yes, so but he'll come in time, I'm sure.
So do we think now Mount's back? I might be wrong, but I think I'm right. Mount got subbed at half time, didn't he? He got taken off at half time. I'm assuming there was a plan all along, if that makes sense.
He said it
Yeah.
was planned.
So do you think that he's forced his way into the weekend's lineup?
I think he possibly has, because I think he brought him off. It's part of that phase approach. The first 5 minutes was planning perhaps might try an hour at the weekend kind of thing. I think he does like Mount. He is gonna work out as one of Ten Hag's favourites. I think so. For me, I personally think he will probably, because that's why I think he might play Bruno on the right and play Mount in the position just behind the strikers. So for me, I do think that you'll see him at the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Agree, Nev?
I think the fact that I say he was subbed at half time seems to suggest that he's planning on starting him again at the weekend. I think yes.
But you're right, we're on to Amrabat now, so I'll say it this way instead. Do we think that his midfield three at the weekend is going to be Amrabat, Casemiro, Mount in the middle?
Yes, if Regulon's can be. Actually, well, I mean, it's interesting with Ericsson, isn't it? I don't think he'll play McTominay.
No. I think if it's not Mount, I think Mount would be the one that's going to drop out for me. So I think Amrabat will definitely come in.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. But that's the three in it. It's either going to be Amrabat, Ericsson, Casemiro, or Amrabat, Mount, Casemiro. I think that would be the three.
Yeah.
What about you?
It all depends whether Regulon's fit, I think.
Yeah, I think if Regulon's fit, then I could see it being Casemiro, Mount, and Amrabat. I think the fact that McTominay and Ericsson weren't in the squad at all yesterday, I would think that probably means that I don't think they'll start on the weekend.
I didn't read that he was injured or anything like that. Maybe they've just been rested.
Well, maybe so. Yeah, I guess you can only have so many on the bench, so they perhaps just gave him a rest. But like we've sort of mentioned, Ericsson and McTominay's performances, the games that they've played recently haven't been too inspiring. So yeah, I think it'll probably be those three: Mount, Casemiro, and Amrabat. As you say.
So the next one's Varane, and I would more than guarantee Varane comes back in, doesn't he? I genuinely thought he was fantastic. He was very good at.
Yeah.
He was controlling the play really well, but he was finding that it's hard to explain the pass that cuts out all the press. He was really good at finding that pass, and on a couple of occasions he got the ball out perfect, and he was on the counter attack. So I think we can all agree Varane's definitely coming back in.
Yeah.
This is the interesting one for me, and again, I will not hide my absolutely delight when Maguire does well. Would you, bearing in mind, I thought they played really well together yesterday. The back three, the goalkeeper, I thought what they was good at is Varane was leaving Maguire to do what Maguire was good at, and Maguire was letting Varane do what he was good at. Do we think Lindelof comes back in at centre back, or do you think he'll stick with Maguire at left centre back?
It's hard to know what Eric will do. He might play Lindelof at left back. He might play. Like he might play Amber. If Reguilon comes, I personally think he'll go with Lindelof. I don't know what's going on with Martinez, but I think Varane picks his hand. In fairness, I think Lindelof. Varane and Lindelof do have quite a good partnership, I think. So I do personally think he'll bring, because I think Lindelof, like, he's not a main defender. He playing alongside Varane, I think it helps him to some extent, and that's why I think it'll be him possibly.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. It's like if Reguilon's there, then I think he'll go with Lindelof. But like John says, if for some reason Reguilon's still not available, you could perhaps see him going with Maguire and Varane and then Lindelof at left back potentially. I don't know if that would work or not, but Lindelof seems
what
to.
they did in the second half.
Well, I think if Reguilon's not fit, I think Amrabat will play left back again.
I don't know. Because then you would
seems
get
to be
Eriksen
good
back
at slotting in anywhere. Lindelof does. He seems like a versatile defender to me. Certainly in the last sort of 6 months, start of this season, back in the last season, he seems to have. He seems to be playing better. I think. I don't know if whether it's since Varane's come in or what exactly, but he does seem to slot in pretty well anywhere.
The reason I was asking is because I was looking at pass progression and ball progression, and Casemiro and Maguire was by far and away the best two on the pitch for it. And I'm just thinking it suits Maguire when teams sit in like that in particular because it gives him the freedom. I don't necessarily think Palace are going to do this at the weekend. I think they're going to be a lot more on the front foot, and I'm not sure Maguire would be the right one for that. I would probably go with Lindelof, Varane, and then Reguilon at left back because I just feel like they would deal with the press better. Maguire's very good when he's got time on the ball. He's not so good when he's under a lot of pressure. So it'd be interesting to see how they set up. So if we're going off what we've sort of agreed here, that means that 3 of the 7 have forced their way into the team for the weekend. Do you then think, and this is what I mentioned earlier in the show, do you then think that Martial might sit there and think best performance of the season? Surely I should be picked for this game, or Garnacho, best performance of the season. We won 3-0, it was comfortable. Do you think there's an element that these players could then start thinking a bit like Sancho? So I've had a really good performance here. We've had a best result with it. Well, we've played our best of the season. We've done Ten Hag's tactics to a T. It's what he's asked for. Why am I not playing?
No, I don't think anyone is like Sancho. No, but
it doesn't look that way, does it? No.
No. I think in Martial's case, I think they probably have come to some kind of agreement because he keeps getting injured. That Martial will know that himself. So I think they'll probably come to some agreement about you'll start 1 game a week and maybe come on as sub the next game, because I think both Martial and Ten Hag will realise I can't play you 2 games in a row, basically. So I do personally think Martial, let's be frank, his career's on the line at the club and all that with these.
Is it his last year as well?
Pardon?
Is it his last year? Last year of his contract?
Yeah, I think it could well be. Yeah, I think
is it one of them where we've got?
I think they might have an option for another year, but will United trigger that? That's the.
If he can score 10 goals, John, then yes.
Yes, but for me, I think Martial it has to be managed with him, and I'm going to accept that. Where's Garnacho? I mean, it's interesting when it comes to bluntness, because obviously Ten Hag, because Sancho spat his dummy out after what Ten Hag said at Arsenal. But interestingly, he said after the press conference, after the game yesterday, he said Garnacho, he wasn't very good the first few games. But in fairness to Garnacho, and instance of this last season, like he was late for a couple of team meetings and he missed the game because bit, and he's come back and thought, I'm going to find my way. So I think it's a bit different because, like with Palestri and Garnacho, they know they're young, they know they won't start every game, but if they play frequently, I think it's interesting that with Garnacho, like before yesterday, because he hasn't really played a lot in.
No, he'd been given.
Matches,
It's something I had noted down actually. He'd been given sort of 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
5 minutes against Brighton when you 2 goals.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was when maybe got the goal against Brighton. No, it was a rubbish performance. But if he brings Garnacho on 75 minutes, you still have a chance of putting 2 goals back, don't you? So for me, I didn't get why he didn't bring him on. I don't think did he bring him on in Munich? I
tend to think that he only got like a couple of minutes at the end of Munich.
Minutes,
as well.
And he definitely didn't come on at Burnley. So I was thinking, well, that's interesting. But he did. Well, he explained it by saying, well, what he did wasn't very good, like at Tottenham and at Wolves. Whereas now, after this game, he says, well, no, he has turned it around. He played well today. So I think maybe you might see him play a few more games now.
I think it goes back to earning your stripes a little bit, doesn't it, Nev? In terms of like he's making these players they sort of playing for the time. Do you think it's sort of tempering expectations from Ten Hag? So these players know that they're going to get limited time, but then he's got to trust them when he needs to.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that. Yeah, he's sort of other than maybe the sort of main ones like your Casemiro, Fernandes, Rashford. Most of the other ones, they're all having to really earn the stripes to hold down a place in the team. I think there's no sort of guarantee, like he sort of said in his interview last night. You're saying you've got to show day in, day out that you're good enough to be in the team, sort of thing. So he's certainly making sure that people are earning that place in the team. But it is good that players are there, and he's got these individuals that he can bring on. It's just obviously, let's say, we've just got this bit of a timing thing with it at sometimes, where they're getting enough time to change the game when they do come on.
It's nice to have the options in it at the minute. We seem to just dry up 2 games ago. We just didn't seem to have any, and now suddenly we've got Maguire could come in. Lindelof's been playing left back. Palistri's coming on. Garnacho's looking like he's doing a bit of business again. Martial's getting our ropes up again, and suddenly we've gone from having threadbare squad that we're worried about to, if we could just knit in some of these players, it's not going to be a bad season.
I think it is building towards that because you sense like bringing it on for young players, or either start like Dango, Garnacho, Palestri.
But Kobe Mino's come back as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Amad Diallo as well, possibly. So, I just think, and I think it's telling what Ten Hag said, it's not just a token gesture. It's you play, say, because you deserve to play, because you put the effort in, unlike some in training. So, but it's interesting that. But I do think, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted Ten Hag, because when you look at the Ajax model, I felt like he would be a player that would bring the academy into like the first team if they were ready to. So he knows how to do it, and he knows when a player is ready. So it's like when people are saying Palestri needs more of a chance, why is he getting minutes last season?
Yeah, honestly,
he wasn't ready. Ultimately,
no, yeah. This is the issue, because I'm on the borderline of the FIFA generation, and sometimes you think, oh, just chuck him on. What are you playing at? Chuck him on, and you forget. And I said it a few weeks back. It was the Arsenal game. I was criticizing, saying, "Oh, we need to make sub. We need to make sub." And I'm just looking at the bench, thinking, I don't care who it is. Just chuck someone on. Rashford can't run anymore.
I think that's the thing, because bring on Dangon. He did very well when he came on, but playing a League Cup game at home to Palace is very different from
Exactly,
coming on
yeah.
at the Emirates
And then
Stadium
I
when
was
it's
saying that
1-1
if he makes a
80th minute,
mistake
you
at
know.
1-1 and Dangor makes a mistake, you don't know how far it's going to set him back.
Exactly.
You don't know.
So you can't, and then you'll be like, oh, why did you bring him on? So, but I get your point. But I think he knows when to bring these players through, and last night was the perfect opportunity. And as well, like to see like if we can go 3-0 up. Around the hour mark, and we did this at times last season. Bring some of the youngsters on to give the players a rest because a lot of these players are exhausted based after the games we played last season, the World Cup and everything. It's not just us, but look all the injuries and all that.
Yeah, well, it's something that I wanted to ask Neville that obviously goes to the games.
Yeah.
I noticed at the end of the season, he was very much picking the same 12 or 13. Did you start to notice that in the ground? Like at the start of the season, I think I went 3 or 4 weeks in a row predicting his lineups perfectly because he just wasn't, it was so predictable. Just sometimes when the team sheets get released, especially toward the end of last season, did you think, yeah, we knew that was going to be that already?
Yeah, I think you could sort of see it, couldn't you? Last few games last season, it was pretty much a nailed on starting 11 pretty much every week, other than when we had the odd when we started to get a few injuries in defence. I think that was just 1 or 2 where we had to change a few in there, but certainly like the forward line was pretty much same sort of thing, wasn't it, for the last couple of months of the season. So whether he's thinking now he needs to probably just rotate a bit more, just to try and keep the opposition guessing a little bit more, maybe that's come into it a little bit.
Honestly, and that would shut me up somewhat rotten in terms of Ten Hag because everyone Twitter is a horrible place sometimes. All because you say stuff like, well, why is he not trusting these players? Why is he not saying to Hannibal, you know what? You're on my bench. You must be good enough to be playing. Bring them on. And Twitter takes that as your Ten Hag out. I'm not Ten Hag out. I would love it to work for him. And I just think that it wouldn't work if you stick to 12 or 13 players. You need a squad. Obviously, I grew up with Wes Brown, John O'Shea, Darren Fletcher, Park Ji-sung. And these players...
This FIFA generation one of the
No, well, these players won us titles because they were so selfless. They came in and they did a job when they need to. Gone are the days when you see Fabian Makeda getting chucked on in the 86th minute against Aston Villa and he scores a work. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, you need that squad of players to be able to really push on in a season. And I think last season, we just got to the limit and we fell away because the players were so tired.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so
definitely.
We've been going for 1 hour and 7 minutes, incredibly. That's gone really quickly. So I'm going to ask you a question. So I asked this to Stu, Barry, and I can't remember the other person. I apologize. And basically, I'll start with you, John. So I give Never some thinking time. So the question is, it's a simple question, but Stu struggled to answer it in particular, and so did Barry, to be fair. And that is, who's been the best Manchester United signing post Sir Alex Ferguson?
It's got to be Bruno, I think.
Why?
Because he's probably been the only player that's had an instant impact, and he's been so influential for the team since he's come in. You can put Casemiro up there as well, I think, and that as well. But I think from where we were before he came in and to have that instant comeback, and I think he's probably been the only player who's consistently contributed at a high level over the time he's been there. I know there were a few like honourable mentions like Herrera and Daily Blinder. Juan Mata as well. Juan Mata in the first 4 or 5 years was a very good player for us. So for me, I will go, but I think it has to be Bruno for what he's done. And that.
The thing with Bruno for me is I dread to think where we would be if we didn't sign him. I always think that if we didn't get him and he didn't get these goals and assists and big chances, I just wondered where it would have. I think we would have struggled so much without him. What about you, Nev? What do you think as a match goer?
Yeah,
Have we missed something or?
No, I don't think so. No, when as soon as you sort of said it, Bruno was the first name that sort of came into my head. He's certainly in terms, his contributions, his goals and his assists, numbers speak for themselves, and minutes on the pitch. He always, always wants to play the full game. He's he's always out there, sort of thing, and he's always very.
His injury record is incredible, isn't it?
Interesting point about that Bruno signing. We were way off top form. We didn't qualify for the Champions League with the year before. We were struggling to qualify for 2 years in a row. If we hadn't signed Bruno, we wouldn't have got in the top 4 that season. And that would have meant a drop in money and sponsorship deals and all that. If you look on the positive light, the Glazers might have gone by now.
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah. Would they have sold up by now?
But but that's.
I don't think them leases will ever leave, mate. To be honest.
So, yeah, but it has to be him. I think he's brought us to. I mean, we're not close to City's level, but I think him along with maybe Casemiro. I mean, you can't ignore Zlatan for the season. With us either. So, but because
he was one of my favourites.
Yeah, I think you'd have to say that in terms of success, that first season, Marino was our best season in terms of like success. Post against Zlatan had a massive impact on that season. However, I think in terms of like consistency over a few seasons, it has to be Bruno, in my opinion. And plus, we've had him throughout his prime years as well.
It was nice to be fair. It's like a bit like Amrabat. It was nice that a player came for wanting to come. I think he only on something like 75k a week, 65k a week when he came as well. He had 2 good seasons before they put his wages up.
I think he was around 100. I think.
I know it wasn't as much as I can remember when we signed him.
It was around 100, but then within 2 years he upped it to like 200,
225 probably.
But if anybody deserved it, it was him. But anyway.
So we'll have a quick look ahead to. It is Saturday, isn't it? We play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it 3 o'clock?
3 p.m. again. Yeah.
Oh wow! Bloody hell! I'm not used to it. Yeah. So we'll have a look at that. We'll have a quick look. Predictions, John. What do you think the score is going to be? And
I think
obviously Palace are going to go full strength, aren't they?
Hopefully, we'll continue on our mini run than that. I think I know we lost to Brighton, but we tend to be good at home, and I think it will be different. Palace team, obviously, Fernandes and Rash come back, but I do think we'll win again. I think we might keep another clean sheet, so I'll go for a 2-0 win.
I love the confidence. Are you going, Nev?
Yes, I should be there, all being well again. Yes, on Saturday.
What do you think the score is going to be then?
I think I was going to go for a 2-0 as well. I think it'll be a lot harder slog than what it was last night. I'm sure Palace will defend a lot better than what they did, but I think we might get one in each half, hopefully, and fingers crossed a clean sheet as well. 2-0.
I would take a win and a clean sheet by any score, to be honest. Just the more we can build on these clean sheets, the better for the team. Yeah. So I've enjoyed that. That's been quite. I can't believe it's been an hour and 15 minutes already. Just a quick one there. Liverpool are through. What else we got? Any big results? Chelsea won. Chelsea scored.
They beat Brighton.
They beat Brighton.
Brighton. Oh.
Although I'm a little bit confused here because. Did Jackson not pick up his 5th yellow card the other day? Should he not be suspended for this game?
I don't think it counts domestically. I think it's same with
Premier League. Right, okay, right. So he'll be banned for the next Premier League game then.
It won't
make their goal scorer out the window.
It won't make much difference to them, will it? So.
Liverpool won 3-1. It's Man City losing with 5 minutes to go. So that's a. I mean, I hope that's
Arsenal beat Brentford and Blackburn 5, Cardiff 2. Oh, Everton have knocked out Villa as well.
Oh, wow.
Everton.
Oh, you know what? James Garner scored.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Right, so yeah, we'll leave it there. That's the first midweek madness, let's say, as Barry's labelled us. So we'll be doing these every week now, hopefully. I don't know what day. It'd be like Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure. It's been nice to have John back on.
Yeah, it's been good. When do we play Galatasaray? Is that Tuesday? Or
I think we play them on the Tuesday.
Tuesday again, yeah.
Yeah, because I was penciling in the show for the Wednesday because we're going to keep another clean sheet and win. So I thought it'd be nice to have another positive show. But it's big games coming up. I think this I can remember looking at the run and thinking we need to have a little bit of a run here. I think it's the December's fixtures. They're not the best. They're a bit up and down. So we need to get in some sort of form. So we'll leave it there. And thanks for joining me on it. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
See ya.